Origin Unexplained.
December has a reputation for stillness, yet history proves it is anything but quiet because this month consistently produces some of the most credible reports of strange phenomena on record. Massive aerial craft documented across hundreds of miles, time slips witnessed by ordinary people going about their routines, creatures seen by hunters and drivers who know the land better than anyone, and hauntings logged long before sensationalism existed. The cold sharpens the world until every detail stands out. There are no leaves to hide what moves through the trees, no humidity to distort the horizon, and in that clarity, people notice things that would usually be overlooked. Police reports, military logs, and eyewitness statements all show the same pattern. December is a month where the unexplained steps forward without hesitation, quietly, confidently, as if the season itself favors it. Some events last only seconds, others stretch into hours, yet each one leaves behind a record that refuses to be dismissed. Tonight's episode brings together true incidents that occurred specifically in December, cases with witnesses, documentation, investigators, and details that resist easy explanation. These are not tales meant to frighten. They are moments when the ordinary world was interrupted by something undeniably out of place. Welcome to Origin Unexplained. I'm Sue, and let's get on with it. So, in December of 1996, a man shopping in Liverpool walked down a familiar street he had taken hundreds of times. What happened next became one of Britain's most notable time-slip cases. As he turned onto Bold Street, the atmosphere changed instantly. Sounds dulled, air pressure shifted, the modern street around him flickered into something older. Vehicles disappeared, people wore clothing from decades earlier, women in headscarves and long skirts, men in hats and wool coats. The storefronts had changed names entirely. A delivery truck rumbled past, but the logo was for a company that hadn't existed since the 1950s. The man stood frozen, his mind struggling to match the world he knew with the one right in front of him. When a bus approached, he panicked, thinking the vehicle might hit him. Well, at that moment, everything snapped back. Traffic returned, people reappeared, storefronts corrected themselves. The shift lasted less than a minute, but the details were too specific and historically accurate to dismiss. Bold Street has since become famous for these anomalies, yet his was one of the first widely reported time slips that occurred in the month of December. In December of 2014, a driver traveling along the Richardson Highway south of Fairbanks reported seeing a figure walking on the shoulder during a snowstorm. That alone wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the height. The driver said the figure stood well over 8 feet tall with thin, elongated frame and pale skin that reflected the headlights unnervingly well. It did not turn to look at the vehicle. It simply continued walking with long, deliberate strides, completely unaffected by the brutal wind. When the driver passed it, he checked the rearview mirror and saw the figure step off the road and disappear into the tree line without disturbing the snow. The report was logged with the Alaska State Troopers, who dismissed it as a misidentified person. Yet the driver maintained his story for years, claiming the body proportions, well, they were unlike any human he'd ever seen. The sighting remains one of Alaska's most chilling winter encounters. A hunter in McKinville reported seeing a large bipedal creature tracking parallel to him through the trees. This was not unusual in the Pacific Northwest, yet his report gained attention because he described something that did not fit the typical Bigfoot template. The figure was tall but extremely thin, almost emaciated, with long arms that swung low in an unnatural way, kind of like keeping its head forward as it moved. The creature made no sound, even while covering ground quickly through crisp frozen brush. He later told investigators that the most disturbing part was not its size. It was its stillness between movements. The figure would glide several feet, then freeze instantly, as if time itself had paused around it. The December air carried no echoes, no snapping branches, nothing to anchor the event in normal reality. The hunter abandoned his trip immediately and refused to return to that part of the woods. I personally would not have returned to those woods, period. In December of 1975, the quiet town of Abbeville experienced a wave of sightings that rattled residents enough that the police logged official reports. People described a massive winged creature flying over the Vermilion River at dusk, its wingspan stretching wider than the road. Witnesses said it moved with slow, heavy glide, nothing like the birds native to the area. Some claimed it had a gargoyle-like silhouette, with long legs trailing behind it as it flew. A local man driving home spotted it perched on an electrical pole, and when his headlights hit it, the creature spread its wings and lifted off with deliberate, unnatural stillness. Law enforcement dismissed the sightings as misidentified birds, yet the people who saw it, they refused to back down. Officers noted in their reports that the witnesses were sober, credible, and genuinely frightened. The sightings abruptly ended just before Christmas, and no similar reports resurfaced afterward. What made these encounters notable was the consistency across accounts: size, shape, wing movement, and the way it emerged only during the deep December cold. It remains one of Louisiana's strangest winter clusters. In December of 2012, a seasoned skier at Vail Mountain went missing for 2 hours on a route he had taken hundreds of times. He was not injured, not lost, and not disoriented when rescuers found him. He simply wasn't there. And then he was. According to the official report, ski patrols searched the area thoroughly, including where he was later located. The missing skier claimed he took a turn that he always took, then suddenly felt as if the landscape around him stretched backward. He described the sound of dropping out of the air like someone had pulled a plug in the world. When everything snapped back, he was standing alone in the clearing he didn't even recognize. He tried to retrace his steps, but every direction looked wrong. 2 hours later, he emerged onto a trail patrollers had already checked 3 times. There were no unusual weather conditions and no signs of injury or hypothermia. He later said the environment felt paused, as if time had dropped into a lower gear for reasons beyond explanation. This December incident is lesser known, but deeply unnerving. In December 2004, months after Alonzo Brooks had vanished under mysterious circumstances, another man in Kansas disappeared under nearly identical conditions. He left a gathering, walked a short distance toward a familiar road, and never arrived home. The details matched Brooks' case so precisely that local residents believed the 2 incidents were somehow connected. The second man was later found alive but disoriented and unable to explain where he had been or how much time had passed. He could recall only that he had stepped into an area where the air felt thicker, almost compressed. He remembered a flash of intense white light followed by complete darkness. When he reappeared, he was miles away with no injuries and no memory of traveling. While this case has never been officially tied to Brooks, locals still discuss the December disappearance as part of a larger and stranger pattern in the region. During December 2009, multiple reports came in from maintenance workers in the Moscow metro of a tall, dark figure seen walking along Line 5 late at night. Workers described it as human-shaped but unnaturally thin and lacking facial features. It moved fluidly, yet silently, even on gravel and old concrete, where footsteps, they should echo. The most disturbing element was that the workers claimed it would vanish when approached. Not by slipping into the shadows, but by collapsing inward, kind of like an image folding into itself. These sightings were logged in internal safety reports after several employees refused to work specific sections of the track alone. Can you blame them? The Metro has a long history of underground anomalies, but the December 2009 cluster remains one of the most consistent modern accounts. The cold in the Yukon is unforgiving in December, the kind of cold that crystallizes breath midair and makes the night sky painfully sharp. On December 11th, 96, dozens of witnesses across 3 separate towns, Fox Lake, Caramax, and Pelly Crossing, reported seeing something enormous drift silently across the winter sky. This was not a point of light or a distant flash at all. Witnesses described a craft so large it blocked out the stars as it passed overhead. A married couple driving on the Klondike Highway described the object as a city in the sky. A massive structured craft with rows of lights along its sides, and the craft moved slowly, methodically, with no sound, glowing faintly against the frozen landscape. Others described it as a flattened, diamond-shaped metallic thing with dark and pale white illumination along the edges. No aircraft, civilian, or military matched the size, shape, or movement. What made this case stand out was a consistency across distances. Witnesses separated by nearly 100 miles reported the same shape, the same silent movement, and the same steady trajectory. A truck driver said the craft was so large it took nearly 30 seconds to pass over his vehicle. Another witness claimed the object felt heavy, not in weight, but in presence, as if the air itself thickened under it. Local law enforcement took the report seriously, noting that these were experienced outdoorsmen, hunters, drivers, and residents who knew every aircraft. Even more compelling was the unofficial confirmation that, well, NORAD tracked something unusual over the region that night. An object moving too slowly and too steadily to be a conventional aircraft, yet too massively to be dismissed as atmospheric interference. The incident remains one of Canada's most significant winter UFO events. Researchers who later reviewed the accounts found that the object's estimated size, based on triangulation of witness locations, would have made it one of the largest airborne anomalies ever recorded. The December timing became part of the intrigue, as sightings of large structured craft tend to spike in northern latitudes during the deepest winter months. To this day, the Yukon event is considered a credible, multi-witness encounter that defies both military and scientific explanation. It was not a flash in the sky, it was not a meteor, it was not an illusion. It was something enormous, controlled, and silent, moving through the Arctic dark without a single attempt to hide its presence. December reminds us that the unexplained doesn't wait for perfect conditions or dramatic setups. It happens in the middle of the ordinary days, in familiar places, and to people who were simply trying to get through their routine. These events documented sightings, credible encounters, and investigations that never found a tidy answer, show how easily reality can shift without warning. What happened to these witnesses was real enough to leave a mark, and their reports still stand because nothing has ever fully explained them. As we wrap up this episode, remember that the strangest moments often surface when the world is quietest. And sometimes the most unsettling stories are the ones backed by evidence, not by imagination.
Time for the bloopers.
As if itself had paused around it. Yeah. It didn't make any fucking sense, did it now? Third time's a charm. Go back to he later. The official report, Ski Patrol searched the area. Go back to recording. Official report, Ski Patrol searched the area. There we go, I did it again. Let's try for the third time, maybe we can get 3 strikes out. Gravel and old concrete where footsteps shook. Go back to it moved. The strangest movements. Whew. Go back to as we. Damn it. Thanks for listening to Origin Unexplained. Repeat, thanks. Thank you for listening to Origin Unexplained. I'm Sue, and if you have a story that you would like told, or you would like to tell it, email us at originunexplained@gmail.com.
Origin Unexplained.